Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Brand new week here on Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. So glad you are with us here to kick off another week. College football conference championship weekend. We'll be recapping that. And, of course, the college football playoff decision, the 12 teams that are in it, and one in particular that's not.
We have got a lot to cover on the show today and really throughout the week. I am so glad to be back. I had the flu and it is it laid me low. I'm Thursday afternoon, all day Friday, Saturday I never got a chance to leave the house. But I watched a lot of football on Friday and Saturday and made a few mental notes and all of that, and watched a bunch. Felt better yesterday. Watched a bunch of football. Jags win yesterday.
Saw that.
And
Mac Jones taking advantage of that opportunity.
How about that? But I think the thing that kind of gets me going, number one, big shout out to my wife, Dee. She was a superstar. I mean, she's the best. She nursed me and took care of me and never complained in anything. And I was feeling better yesterday. And, she was bringing me some soup and everything. She says, I kind of agree with John. And, she'd bring me some crackers and stuff. And she'd say, who has SMU beat? And I'm like, I know, sweetie. I know, sweetie. Yeah. And she's like, how do you think they would have done if they'd played an SEC? I know. So, she is absolutely wonderful. I am blessed to have her and everything, but every once in a while she'll show on it. I think John was right about this 12-team setup right here.
And I know we're going to talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
How this came down. First off, look, I think Bama fan cannot be shocked. They knew it was a possibility that they would not make it. Possibly they would. A lot of talk, a lot of chatter. But Barry, I just go back to that one thing that I just can't overlook. It reminds me of that Cheech and Chong movie when they went up to Chong's cousin. He goes, hey, man, this guy's got a big birthmark on his face. Don't look at it. Do not look at it. His name was Strawberry, as a matter of fact. And the guy opens the door, and the first thing Chong goes, hey, man, what happened to your face? And so, you just can't get over it. And I'm talking about that loss in Norman, Oklahoma. This team's a 19-point favorite, and they get beat by 21. That, to me, you just cannot overlook that. You just can't look the other way and act like it's not there. You're looking at it. You don't want to say anything, but it's there, and it's jumping off the page. And that doomed Alabama. We talked about it so much after the fact. Most pathetic effort I'd ever seen out of an Alabama football team in a long, long time, and it bit them in the ass. And the committee said, you're not worthy. Can't argue with them. Can't blame them.
There are three main points I want to make about what went down yesterday, besides John's very good point about you can't be shocked about this. I mean, you can't be thunderstruck or anything. But three things to take into account about this, in no particular order. I don't get the hate towards SMU now from Bama fan. They didn't do that to you. SMU, they played right down to the final horn. And believe me, if they hadn't, I watched that game. And if SMU had just, cashed it in at halftime and said, man, this ain't our day, fellas, Alabama would be in right now.
Yeah.
The fact that, that they played it close at the end and they looked pretty doggone good, really, really, real helped them. Number two,
I wonder, Barry, if Alabama would have put that type of effort against Oklahoma and come up just a little bit short instead of getting blown out by 21, and maybe they'd be in today.
This is the eye test that John is talking about. And if you take the helmets off and the logos off and all of that, I think that's a very, very definitive eye test right there. Number two, I get Greg Byrne. I get you're in there battling for your university and all of that. I don't necessarily understand his point. What I think, if you want to know the upshot of all of this, I don't think that now, because of what happened and because of the pull the SEC has and the Big Ten has, I don't think now that there's any doubt that there's going to be a 16-team playoff by 2026. They ain't having this anymore in the SEC. That ain't, you would have thought that adding 2 more teams would help the Armies and would help the BYU of the world, but no. It's to make sure the SEC gets theirs.
Well, yeah. What you got? 3 SEC teams out of the 12: Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee.
Yeah, and out of the next 4, maybe the next 5, the next 4, you got 3 more. You had Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, along with BYU, right in there. And Burns sees those 3 on the outside, John, and he's seeing he's seeing Boise with a bye, and he's seeing Arizona State with a bye, and he sees Indiana in there, and he sees Alabama out. He ain't having it. There will be 16. Not that I'm in favor of it, but that's going to happen, right?
And I do like that part of it, because 16 is the number I like. Cap it off at 16, 12, there again. I hope we see it in 26. It'll be a new play. I think there's going to be some changes next year. And the first one that I hope to see, and I've already heard a lot of people talking about it, they need to seed this thing like the NCAA basketball tournament. I mean, where they've got some of these teams seeded, I'm thinking, really? I mean, those are the best teams you got in the first 4 slots. Maybe 2 of them are, but seed it like the basketball tournament. If you win the SEC basketball tournament, you don't automatically get a number 1 seed.
Correct. Well, that's, I know that they want to protect their conference championship game, which, basically who gives 2 toots about the SEC basketball tournament champion. I don't want to get too far away from the main point, but that's going to be a thing. I agree with John on this, but Greg Burns saying, well, from now on, we're going to look seriously about not playing any decent non-conference games. Number one, it wasn't your non-conference that hurt you. It was your conference losses that hurt you. Number 2, if you had I hadn't even thought about this. If you had say, an Ohio State in your non-conference, if you had an Ohio State in your non-conference, would that have been enough if you had beaten them to get over the losses? You need good non-conference to helping.
It depends on what type of Ohio State team you play, because, Alabama playing at Wisconsin, when it was scheduled, you're thinking, yeah, wow, that's a good game. Those, Wisconsin's really has had a good program, been to the Rose Bowl many a time. But to call Wisconsin in a down year, and their record did not help them any. Before I read what Greg Byrne had tweeted or whatever, I actually heard Saban talking about it. And
that was my third point. Yeah.
He used Alabama as an example. And I don't blame him. I think what the point he was trying to get across is, if you can play a weak, crappy 75th rated strength of schedule, why would anybody schedule anything more stronger than that? And he mentioned Alabama's got series with Ohio State, with Notre Dame. He reeled off several other schools that they've got home and aways with. He even mentioned the years they've got 2 Power 5, like this coming year. Mm-hmm. They're playing 2 Power 5 non-conference teams. He's thinking, why would you do that? And I know what he was getting at. I mean, if you're going to let people in and you're going to base it on a schedule strength of 75, 80, 90, why should some of these teams knock themselves out playing big-time matchups? I know the fans want them, the TV networks want them, but it looks like it can hurt you. And I would have taken it even further, Barry, and said, these people that want 9 conference games, you can forget it. No way. We're going to play 8 conference games, and we're going to schedule 4 Sisters of the Poor, directional school, Alphabet City, and that's the way we're scheduling from this point on.
See,
I would have taken it that far. I would have said that.
I would, that's perceptive of you to notice that, because those are 2 givens that I see out of this whole thing. Number one, if all of this is the way it's going to be, you're never going to have a 9-game SEC schedule. I think you are dead on. And number two, you're going to get to 16-team playoff and all that. I get, I think Nick Saban has been phenomenal in this new role, but I think he was saying if you're going to goose up SMU, or they shouldn't be downgraded for having to play in a championship game. You need to address that back 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time to say, look, hey man, you haven't played a good enough schedule. You stand a real chance of not making it if you don't win your championship game, even though you've lost one. He said you need to start that back 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time instead of right at the last minute say, okay, you lost close, we'll get you in. What he really ought to be saying, and maybe John can help with this, instead of starting it like 3 weeks ahead and getting everybody ready, what he really needs to do is start it in August and just have a big preseason show where it's nothing but John Longshore going down the list and saying, Appalachian State, good luck this year. You ain't going to make it. Army, no. Just go down. Arizona, no. Alabama, yeah. Arkansas, possibly, and just go down at the beginning of the year and say, look, I don't care how good you are. I don't care what kind of a record you've got. With your brand and with your strength of schedule, it don't matter. You're not going to do it. Why not do it that way?
And I, look, that's not what I want. I don't want weaker schedules. I don't want crappy non-conference. I've been saying it forever. I love it. I love a huge non-conference matchup. Some of these schools at Alabama, Georgia, Florida. I went and looked again yesterday afternoon of future schedules for some SEC teams. And I'm in. Heck, Arkansas and Texas A&M both play Notre Dame next year in 2025. I'm thinking, good for y'all. Man, that's awesome. But could it come back to haunt them? Possibly. And I think, could there be some tweaking? Yeah, I could see that. The years where you play 2 Power 5 non-conferences, maybe they'll trim that back to 1 until they can get this figured out, because I guess the mentality or the mindset now is, look, we're just trying to get to the 16-team field, and then we'll start playing big boys out of the league there. But no, obviously there's no reason to do it in the regular season. And there again, we've heard the term devaluing the regular season. In my mind, or as a fan or as a consumer of college football, that devalues it when I've got 4 crappy games that nobody cares about, and then you got your 8 conference games. So really you got an 8-game season, and then you mix in, Southwest Missouri State at Jefferson City, and, you just move on. That's just the way it is.
My good friend James Hardy checks in. I have a lot of respect for him. Great broadcaster. He says, to at least some degree, how much did Bama fatigue factor in relative to leaving Bama out of the playoffs? Look, I'm still naive about all of this kind of stuff. I do think that there's not a whole lot of people feeling sorry for Alabama right now. There's a lot of people said, you've ridden the crest of this thing and you guys have led the crest for forever. You're not making the playoffs this year. I can't say that I feel too bad for Crimson Tide fans who have been lording over this thing for a long time. I don't think, number one, the committee's job is to seed the teams. They are not, again, me being naive, they are not supposed to look at it with an eye towards matchups. They're supposed to say, okay, these are the 4 conference champions that we think are most worthy of a bye. And in this particular case, Boise State and Arizona State got in there. Arizona State looked terrific, by the way. And, then the next best team and then the next best team.
If Tess is in love with Scooby-Dooby-Doo or whatever that running back's name is, that guy, Tess was at an all-time high during that game. He loves it. He got a man crush on that kid.
I'm telling you. He probably, in place of his old Farrah Fawcett bikini poster, he's got a picture of Haynes King and he's got a poster of Cam Scatterboo. I'm telling you, he can oversell a player. And then you look at, okay, who's the 5th best team? Who's the 6th? Who do we think is the 7th best? And, the last 2 teams in were ACC teams. So they did get 2, but those were the last 2. And then, just seed them all. and then the matchups take care of themselves, right? That's how it's supposed to work. So,
And
when
I got to tell you,
you see somebody like I don't know, who was it? The Bear, Chris Fallica was saying, or maybe it was Cladd who was saying, man, they hosed Oregon because Oregon, they're the number 1 overall seed. Who do they have? Tennessee or Ohio State in the first. Well, that ain't got nothing to do. The committee didn't do that. That's just seeding. They're there to seed them, not to make matches.
And what I don't like about that, they're getting another tweak. The teams that come out of the game that has to go play Arizona State or Boise, they're probably pretty happy where they're located. I'd much rather go play those two than Oregon or Georgia.
Yep.
And how they've got them seated there and who's moving on, like Texas. I mean, to me, Texas is thinking, we got a week off. We're going to end up playing Arizona State. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we love where we are. Sure we do. Other teams thinking, geez, what? We got to do what? There's some tweaking. There'll be some changes. Will it be done before next year? Not sure, but by 26, when this contract runs out, there will definitely be some changes and probably some additional slots in this playoff. Man, the River Region Straw chat line is blowing up today. We really appreciate that. We're going to get to some of these chats in the next block when we come back from our first break today. Tom Luginbill at the top of the next hour, ESPN college football analyst. Really looking forward to getting his thoughts about what happened during conference championship weekend, the college football playoff selection yesterday, how that played out, some of these bowl matchups. Do you even care? We're going to get into that as well today. And, of course, we'll check in on the fan. I think we may be checking in on the fan. I'm having a very good week. I know we are having a spinoff today. Yep.
For the Dreamland Pick 3.
Yep. Dreamland Pick 3 spinoff today. We got the Victorland 777 topic wheel coming your way. We just got a lot going on this Monday. We want you to be a part of it.
He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382. Or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for...
Who?
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Okay, it's about 19 minutes past the hour on this Monday. So glad you're with us here on Longshore and McKnight. Just checking out the River Region Straw chat line. Yes, the bowl prediction contest, Mark. I know you're excited about it. Kicks off today. I believe later this afternoon we'll have that link up at Yellowhammer News.
Looking forward to that. We've got, it's been kind of a staple in the history of Longshore and McKnight. We want you to be a part of our very first here on this format. Couple of things. Again, we are going to focus. We'll go over the matchups and all that kind of stuff and everything a little bit later on, but we want to focus on what it means here locally where we are, which is the state of Alabama. How surprised are you? Shocked? Is it an outrage? Is there any recourse? How many of you are indeed making your plans for 11 a.m. New Year's Eve in a rematch? Is it really a chance to get some revenge against the Wolverines for knocking Alabama out next year? Do we love that? We're going to get a lot of that. First of all, though, I got to come clean about this. I make mistakes, and I got some bad information from somebody who used to be in the Southeastern Conference office a couple of years ago. The college football playoff first round games. I told John back in October that that those would be 50-50s. They're not. The host school controls the ticket. For instance, Ohio State says tickets for its game against Tennessee at the Horseshoe, 100,000 seats. Ohio State, they're going to start those tickets at $100. And there's going to be 3,500 seats allotted for Tennessee fans.
3,500?
Which is, I guess, normal. I guess it's the normal allotment there. And Tennessee fans, don't be shocked when you're in the upper curved horseshoe side of it, way off in the end. Season ticket holders will have, their first crack at their regular season ticket seats. Texas, same deal. They've got like until 4:00 for their Penn State, the same deal. Tickets for Notre Dame, Indiana. Full disclosure, I'm a huge Indiana fan during this. Against Notre Dame, they're only available on StubHub. Now, Ohio State is starting their tickets at $100. Notre Dame, Indiana, they're only available on StubHub. Tickets are starting at $910 a piece.
Woo.
Against Indiana. So I was wrong about that.
100. Yeah, that's interesting. And there again, just shows you the advantage of hosting that first round game. There again, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist here, but do you find it odd that SMU is not playing in prime time in their first game? They're in the 11 o'clock window. Yep. SMU, we're going to let you in, but you're playing at 11 a.m. We're not putting you on in prime time. Notre Dame, obviously, that's a lock. 7 o'clock prime time on a Friday. Ohio State, 7 o'clock prime time on a Saturday. SMU, Clemson, we're going to put you earlier in the day because you're not helping us out in the money-making business.
This is a fair point.
And we're going to put you on TNT to top it off.
This is a good thing. Again, a good thing to bring up. Again, the college football playoff, they're only in charge of seeding. They don't do the matchups. They don't do the times. They don't do the networks. They just say, okay, these are the seeds. Now let's see who plays. Okay. So yeah, ABC and ESPN, they say, okay, our first round game, we'll give you SMU and Penn State. You guys can put that on Max or whatever. We're sending Fowler and Herbie and Holly Rowe to Tennessee at Ohio State.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So
those 3,500 seats Tennessee's getting, does that include the band? I got to think the band gets their own allotment of seats because you got to know the band's going.
Do you? If I'm Ohio State,
man, that's kind of
I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm Ohio State, I'm saying, look, I'm going longshore, athletic director. The band.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. We got to incur that expense. Forget it, man. Our man Tobias out in Arizona, he's coming strong today. Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. Tobias says not just SMU schedule, but take a gander at the non-conference schedules of Ohio State, Indiana, and Penn State. There's an alarming number of teams in this field with no top 25 wins. That kind of stings.
Well, and again, the Big Ten plays 9 conference games. They don't have as much room for non-conference. That's why I salute Wisconsin for bringing Alabama in. But what reaction to the Crimson Tide? Whenever you saw that kid for Clemson, that freshman, nail the 56-yarder at the horn, how many of you thought, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
I wondered this, Barry. Why did Rhett Lashley not go for 2 when they tied the game up?
I think they addressed it a little bit. I don't remember. Like I said, I wasn't 100%, but I think he said, by the way, McDonough and McElroy were terrific on that. He said, they had the momentum.
That's what I'm thinking.
If they go, Clemson was a little banged up. Mafa had the shoulder, the running back.
Got him on the ropes. Got him backed up.
Again, if it was me, I'd have said, boys, we're gonna win this thing right now. We got all the momentum and everything, or lose it. But I
got to tell you, that quarterback at SMU, I was impressed.
Yeah, I told you.
I've really not seen a lot of SMU football, but that kid was impressive.
I saw SMU in the first game of the year. Remember, they played back like before everybody did. I want to say they played on week 0. I know they played at Nevada, and I watched that game from beginning to end because Troy played Nevada the next week to open Troy season. I wanted to get a look. And SMU had a quarterback named Preston Stone. I don't know much about him. I know he'd been there for a little while. And I thought, and I said it on our show, I said, SMU didn't really impress me that much. And he ended up getting tweaked in that game. And Kevin Jennings played. Why in the world were they playing Stone in the first place? Because that kid was good, so I got nothing, Bama fans, don't be hating on SMU. They just competed and competed and competed.
We said this, I said it before yesterday. I mean, is Alabama one of the 12 best teams? I mean, you can talk about record and you can talk about top 25 victories, but I've been saying it forever. Eye test. I'm a huge eye test guy. And I can't get over the 3 losses, particularly the one to Oklahoma. Is going to Baton Rouge and beating LSU really that big of a deal? I mean, is LSU that great? I don't think so. So the eye test told me this is not a really good team. They are so dependent on one player, and you're already seeing some of these other guys that didn't get the touches they're hitting the transfer portal. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. The eye test just told me this team is not one of the best 12 in the country.
I thought Saban was really smart. I think it certainly helps Alabama that they've got a spokesman like him front and center on the ESPN cameras because, gosh, he is so smart and he's so experienced and his words carry such weight. And I thought he thought about that and thought, if I keep talking about the SEC being a meat grinder and the quality of the top such and such wins, everybody's going to talk about, like I have. Well, what about those bad losses? I mean, I love your wins, but man, those losses in there, he said, he tried to account for that by saying, week in and week out, it's hard to get your players up for every game, meaning you almost coughed one up against South Carolina and you never led against Vanderbilt and you look like crud against Oklahoma just simply because of the cumulative effect of playing such a difficult schedule week in and week out. And maybe there's some validity to it, but he was trying to cover up for that fact that I know what people are going to say when I talk about the win over Georgia and the win over LSU and the win over South Carolina. They're going to say, yeah, but what about those losses to Vanderbilt and to Oklahoma? What can I say about that? Well, they lost to those teams because it's so hard playing in the SEC. They were ground down by them. All right. Look, it's hard playing anybody. I know the SEC is difficult and it's a meat grinder, but it's not just like it's not just like those were Alabama lost to Vanderbilt because they were tired. Vanderbilt played an SEC schedule too. They lost to Oklahoma because they were ground down by the league schedule. Oklahoma had a lot more injuries than Alabama, and they played an SEC schedule as well.
And if that's the case, then play 8 games and don't schedule any good non-conference games. I'm not sure I buy that, but I also heard Saban say some other things that I thought were directed, well, really kind of subtly at Alabama about reevaluation, toughness, execution, things of that nature that were lacking. He didn't specifically point to one program or coach or team, but as he was saying, I'm going, boy, I can think of one team that falls into that category, coach. So maybe subtly he was sending a little message about his thoughts about how this Alabama team performed throughout the year. And I do think they've got to get tougher, and they've got to expand that playbook. They've got to get more people involved. And there again, we talked about transfers and opt-outs. We're already seeing the transfer portal getting pretty active. It'll kick off today. DeBoer said that he doesn't think there's going to be a lot of opt-outs for this bowl game, wherever it is, Tampa or something like that.
Tampa, yeah, Tampa.
We'll see how that plays out. I mean, I don't know how excited or giddy a lot of these players could be, particularly older ones, seniors, juniors and seniors that are thinking, gee whiz, another month to go play a worthless, meaningless bowl game. But they're going to be busy keeping this team together and building it for the future over the next couple of months.
Which leads to one of several points we still got to cover. Today starts the opening of the transfer portal. A lot of guys have already announced that they're going to enter the transfer portal. Well, today is the day that they really can start. And last year, I want to say 25%, after it was all over and done with, 25% of every FBS roster was made up of transfers, 1 out of every 4. I think that number will be higher this year, including some guys you're like, wait a minute, why did that guy transfer? He had things going his way. What happens here? So there's going to be plenty of that. The thing to it, Kalen DeBoer said this yesterday. He said, I don't think we're going to have many opt-outs. He says, I don't care if what their NFL prospects are. What do you think, Jalen? And we've already heard from Theotis. We've already heard from JJ. One of the things they're rejoicing about for Alabama not making the college football playoff is at the end of the Jalen Milroe era seems to be in sight.
Yeah, JJ over in Atlanta, man, he says he hopes Milroe's not coming back. Coach is not willing to give Ty Simpson a chance. I'm not in favor of conference champion automatically getting in. Boise State, SMU, that is JJ in Atlanta. Yeah, they're getting in now. They 12 of the best teams out there. I don't know, JJ. That's up for discussion. But they're in because they won their conference championship game. But I'm not sure Arizona State and Boise are worthy of a top 4 seed.
I was shocked about that. I have seen Arizona State play twice in the last month. And I really like the job Kenny Dillingham has done. They're pretty doggone tough.
This team was terrible with Herm Edwards. I mean, they were joke. They were and Barry, Arizona State was picked dead last in their conference.
They
preseason.
But they got a lot of transfers. Their quarterback from Michigan State, Scadaboo's from Sacramento State.
Wait a minute. Arizona State got a quarterback from Michigan State. I thought, didn't they have a quarterback from Michigan State?
And I'm telling you, the kid is a redshirt freshman for Arizona State. And I'm thinking, Hugh, man, what did you do? Did you tell your general manager of your program to say, hey, get that Michigan State quarterback? Peyton Thorne arrives on campus and freezes like, not him, the other one. You know,
it's kind of like when they were going to that Bible college out in the deserts of Texas, looking at some kid and they go, wait a minute, how about this kid over here? He looks a little bit better.
That's the biggest bogus thing I ever saw in my life. What John's talking about is in Gene Chiswick's biography. Gene Chiswick used to be the head football coach at Auburn University, won a national championship. For somebody who doesn't understand the obscure.
Did he come back to the SEC network? I thought Chiz did a great job on the
He was good. He was good on that. But Chiswick, in his biography, said that they were looking at somebody else at Blinn Junior College who won the national championship that year, and they noticed this big 6'5", 250-pound quarterback who kind of impressed. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Are you telling me that you sent somebody out there to see some JUCO defensive end or something like that and say, hey, who's that big, tall, strong guy who runs like a deer and throws it a mile? And, has anybody heard of this guy? Please.
We heard that story even before he put it in his book. So I'm looking, Barry, Auburn does have a history of going to Bible colleges. Some of them are above a Foot Locker and a strip mall. Other ones are out in the middle of the Texas desert. Who knows? But Auburn is uncanny in their ability to find guys that nobody else knows where they are. It's unbelievable.
Believe me, Blinn Junior College is no Bible college, but it's, the whole idea of saying,
the name of that Bible college down there in Florida that they found Mookie, who was it? Mookie Norris?
Moochie Norris, who later played in the NBA.
What was the name of that Bible college?
I think it was called like Second Avenue Bible College.
And they got like 10 hours of credit in 2 weeks or something. I mean, I'm thinking,
they got like 30 credit hours in 3 weeks or something. I don't know.
Man, where was that place when I was in school?
Yeah.
Sheesh. Right there above a Foot Locker. All right, we need to take a break. I know we got more to go. Ton of chats on the River Region Straw chat line. Get in on it. Hello to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Of course, as always, in association with Yellowhammer News, you can check it all out at yellowhammernews.com. There's a write-up about the Longshore McKnight each and every day, video content as well. Check it out on their webpage, Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn. They're everywhere, as we are as well at Longshore and McKnight. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube, it's everywhere. You just can't go anywhere without finding us. And we really appreciate everybody checking in, hitting the like, hitting the subscribe button. A lot more to do today on this Monday. We got a lot to unpack.
He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Enjoy all the food, drink, fun, and winning at Victoryland. An elevated entertainment value, the best overall casino experience, and the highest jackpot payouts makes Victoryland the place to be. Go to Victoryland.com to find out more about their incredible giveaways, daily promotions, and free play opportunities. 777 Casino, simulcast thoroughbred, and Greyhound Racing are all within a short drive from anywhere in the Southeast. Victoryland, I-85, Exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. At Victoryland, you can be a winner too.
Holidays for margaritas, and every year we do an unbelievable $99 Christmas special, and it's got to be 14 karat white or yellow gold, and it's got to be high quality Marguerite's diamonds. Well, this year it's the best one ever. It's individual 14 karat letters that we've cut out and added a 7-point diamond to on a 14 karat necklace. Impossible. That's right. All the initial diamond necklaces, $99 at Marguerite's till Christmas.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders. Is there a certain Ford car, truck, or SUV that piques your interest, but you are not quite sure if it fits into your budget? Or perhaps you want to upgrade your current vehicle, but you absolutely refuse to deal with the same old aggressive and pushy song and dance that is found at the average car dealership? Then Stivers Ford is here to show you a better way. Their knowledgeable and courteous sales staff, the largest Ford inventory in Alabama, and of course, price. At Stivers Ford in Montgomery, Price sells cars. 4000 Eastern Boulevard at the Troy Highway, or check out their inventory at stiversfordofmontgomery.com.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Glad you are with us here. Tom Luginbill in about 20 minutes here on the program, college football analyst for ESPN. Craig on the chat today, and I get this, I get the feeling, but I got to tell you, this is the way it's going to be, and you might as well get used to it. Craig says, if you transfer out, good riddance. You are selfish and not a team guy. I hope Milroe opts out and goes pro. I cannot wait for the Milroe era to end. I have Bama. Craig, look, I get it. This is in the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s, when you put the jersey on and you had a lot of pride, and that's what you've been wanting to do since you were a kid in the backyard playing Sunday afternoon football. It's a different day and era. It's all about me. It isn't about the team. Where's the best opportunity for me to play, to advance my product, to market myself, to get into the NFL so I can make some money? They all think they're going to make it in the NFL. This dream has been driven into their head since they were in junior high school that I'm the greatest thing to ever put on a pair of shoulder pads. The harsh reality of it is 99% of them don't. And they don't have anything to fall back on. And that's the harsh reality of this pipe dream that so many athletes out there in so many different sports think they're going to make it. And think, did I see where CJ Finley's thinking about, or TJ Finley's thinking about transferring again?
He ain't thinking about it. He's jumped in. TJ Finley,
unbelievable,
former Auburn quarterback. Well, he began at LSU, actually started a couple of games against LSU. I've called a couple of games before. He is big and strong and can throw it a mile. Never worked out at LSU, was there for 2 years, transferred to Auburn. He was there for 2 years. 2 years ago, he was at Texas State. Last year, he was at Western Kentucky. This year, he's going into the transfer portal again, opting for a medical red shirt where he'll have 2 more years of eligibility. TJ Finley was in the same high school recruiting class as Bryce Young. Next year, Bryce Young will be in his 3rd year in the NFL. TJ Finley will still be in college with an extra year to go. He'll have played at LSU, Auburn, Texas, 5 schools. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. We saw that.
It really is. And I hate it. Look, we grew up in a different era, but it's going to happen. You've already seen it. We talked about it. I mean, Alabama's already got guys in the transfer portal. Every school out there does.
Yes.
And you're going to have some that aren't going to play the bowl game.
And believe me, transferring is not a character flaw. I don't think they're selfish. Is Parker Brailsford selfish? Is Jeremy Bernard selfish? Was Jahmyr Gibbs selfish? Is Holden Gariner selfish? John and I have had this philosophical debate. Would you rather ride the bench and win a national championship or play at a group of 5 school and take every snap at quarterback, win your conference, and play? When it's all over 30 years from now with your grandkids on your knee, do you want to say, yeah, man, I remember whenever we played for the conference title, never took a snap that year, but it was so great? Or would you like to say, yeah, I was out there and I had a 300-yard passing game or I rushed for 100 or something like that? Kids are playing football. They want to literally play football. And there's somebody out there who probably you would be able to play for. You just got to find them. So I don't think it's selfish at all, particularly in this
not in this
day and
and
age.
age. And I get it. Fans maybe don't understand it that way.
But it's a fact.
It is there
And it's
again.
not going
It is
anywhere.
a business, and these young men are making business decisions. If you've been working for a company for 30 years and you elect to go do something else, are you not loyal? Are you not a company man? Are you not? How
Mhm.
can in the world can they bolt and not be a part of what we've been doing for so long? It's a business, and that's how they're thinking about it.
Well, LSU Mark says Matt Sluka is still in the portal. Nobody wanted him. All right, Mark, the portal's been open for this morning.
Is that the guy at UNLV?
The guy from UNLV.
Yeah.
This guy, the portal opened like an hour ago, Mark. Somebody's going to get that guy, and you'll see all day today. Today is the first day they can do it. They can be in the portal, I don't know, for a month or whatever. You're going to see guys in the portal today that you who know college football and know these guys are going to be astounded by. Say, whoa, that guy's in the portal? It may be at your school. It may be somewhere. Why in the world is that guy in the portal? By the way, great reference there from Chris the Bammer at 744. He says Vera, Chuck, and Dave, which are the grandchildren on your knee in When I'm 64 by the Beatles. Grandchildren on your knee.
Man,
Vera,
way to go, Chris the Bammer. Man, that's
Dave.
awesome.
Yeah. So,
hey, Barry, got to give a shout out to our man Dennis Mitchell. Obviously, some coaching changes, some wrestlers dying. I mean, Dennis has been hitting it hard today.
Yeah, he says Charlie Huff, the new coach at Southern Miss, saw that coming. Tony Gibson, the new coach at Marshall, for Charles Huff. Dowell Loggins is the new coach at Appalachian State, no relation to Kenny.
I got to ask you this, Barry. You saw Southern Miss. Why would you want to go to Southern Miss?
They've had a history. I just think Charles Huff is more comfortable the further south he gets. He's a former Bama assistant, terrific recruiter, has a lot more contacts down there. I've got a lot of friends up in Huntington, West Virginia, but and I'm still kind of angry at the state of West Virginia for Neil Brown. Luginbill said that you can't recruit in West Virginia and win. You've got to go elsewhere. Southern Miss, you got players all around the area. They have been mishandled, but that still can be and has been a good program before.
Who takes that West Virginia job and the North Carolina job? Both still open.
Late last night, John Sumrall, he said that he is not interested, which is kind of surprising to me. Because I thought he could have had either one of those jobs. Interesting about West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez says that
makes you wonder with Sumrall, is he maybe just biding his time for maybe something opening up in Lexington?
Let that noodle on that for a little while.
Yeah,
I think you're dead on there. We don't want to. We don't want to lose sight of the big issue today, getting some really good comments about Alabama. And
Tobias, you're right. Coaches kind of tell these kids to transfer too. It's not a one-way street. The coaches say, hey, you might want to think about hitting that portal in some roundabout way.
That's exactly right. When Craig says, what about the kids that are starting and transferring? Why would you transfer money? And that is selfish. I don't even know where to begin on that one. I don't know where to even start with. Making more money is a selfish thing. Craig, do you really think so? I love John. He and I have worked together for a long time. But if somebody told me, Barry, I'm going to give you an island chalet, and all you got to do is sit there and spend time with your wife and your kids and your grandkids and everything like that, and not do anything at all, I'd think seriously about it. The money looks like it would be a pretty good thing. Money is a reason for transferring, and that is selfish. I don't know, Craig, and your business, whatever it is, if somebody offered you more money and you left your current company, would you shed a tear about leaving? Be honest now.
Yeah, I don't. You can't blame them. It is just a different day and age. Different day and age. You got to re-recruit your roster every year. Hugh Freeze, Kalen DeBoer in the process of doing that right now. They're looking at the look. You don't think those two staffs aren't looking to see who's in the portal? I mean, they're looking for value as well. They're looking to bring players into their program that they think they can make instant impacts, plug and play. So, there again, it ain't just the ones leaving. It's the ones they're wanting to bring in as well.
Craig says, yeah, I do. As a college kid, this is not the NFL. When I was in college, I did not have the luxury. I had to work when I was in college. And if I'm earning, at the time, $3.25 an hour delivering pizzas at Pagliai's on 13th Street in Gainesville, Florida, and somebody else says, hey, you can come over work here making $6 an hour, I'm gonna do it.
You are.
The fact being a college kid, they are now making money off of you. The college
I can't say this enough. It's a different day and age, and it's not 40 years ago when the two of us were in college, and it wasn't 20 years ago or 10. You can now pay players legally.
Yeah,
you can do it.
It is not mean or bad or disgusting or unethical or the sign of the end of times. Craig says, agree to disagree. What are you disagreeing with?
I mean,
they're making money.
You got to accept money because they're not going to change. And if you're not adapting and you're not trying to change your ways, you're going to fall further and further behind. Whether it's, NIL, whether it's, maybe they shouldn't have done it. And maybe this NIL business is more than they ever anticipated. But the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't put it back. Transfers, NIL, do they need to come up with some structure? Yeah, they do. Do they need to shorten the transfer windows, shorten the number of times you can do it in a year? I believe, they should. Here's your opportunity. Bam, do it. NIL, you got to structure it. We all got to be playing by the same rules. Everybody's following the same roadmap. I know there's a lot of movement out there to get that done, but it is an extremely slow process. But, call it NFL light. But, it's where we are, and it's not going back.
Yeah, and theoretically, I can't find anything really wrong with it. I really can't. There's thousands of people that attend school at Auburn University who can accept any job they want. In the past, it could be anybody at Auburn could take any job they want while they went to school, except football player or student athletes. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I wonder, if does Craig like the playoff? Would he rather go back to just the antiquated bowl system in which we played in 40 years ago?
I kind of would like to go back to that myself.
Does you want every game to kick off at 1:30 on a Saturday, and you can only be on TV maybe 3 times a season?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certainly a lot of changes, and this is just another one of them. I don't really mind it. I don't mind it at all. I've kind of enjoyed. I think football today on the field, athletically, the level of play is better than it's ever been. The way it's conducted, you might not like it, transfers, NIL, start times, whatever. But to me, Barry, the athletes on the field today are the best I've ever seen. Stronger, faster, can make incredible plays, great athletes. I think it's very exciting.
It is exciting. No question about that. Speaking of that, big shout out to my guy, Tez Johnson, who was named the Big 10 championship game MVP for Oregon. He was terrific. I think 11 catches, 180 yards. He was at Troy under Chip Lindsey for a redshirt year and 2 years. So 3 years all in all. And I interviewed him 24 times, including several in-depth interviews. To answer your question, Ty, was Tez Johnson that dynamic when he was at Troy? Yes, he was. The difference, I think, Tez, when he played at Troy, I had some questions at it at the beginning. I was asking some of the coaches, is this kid a player? And they said, oh, yeah, Tez can play. He was a champion at Pinson Valley, but he was only 145 pounds. I thought he was going to break in half. They had him returning kicks, returning punts and everything. You could tell he was going to be a player, but he had to get stronger, and he did. And, I get it that he goes to Oregon. There's been well documented his past and, him being living when he was in high school in the Knicks household with Bo and Patrick and all that. It's a great story and everything, but yeah, Tez was always a player, even at 145 pounds when I saw him play.
That is great news. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, if we got a minute, we're going to spin that spin-off wheel in our Dreamland Pick 3. We've got a couple of contestants that both swept the board, and we're going to spin it off to see who our winner is. I guess we can maybe say something about the Phantom if we have to. Maybe not. If Luginbill's ready to hop on, we'll see. But if
he can take all the time he wants. Yeah,
yeah, no kidding. And we'll get into that when we return. Keep the chats coming. Some great conversation on our River Region Straw chat line. You can email us, longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. Hey, we're in association with Yellow Hammer News. Check it out at yellowhammernews.com. Check them out on Facebook, X, Instagram, everywhere that you go for social media. And yes, our bowl prediction contest will be uploaded later today at yellowhammernews.com. You can get in on our bowl prediction contest where you got a chance to win some incredible prizes like a $1,000 travel voucher from our friends at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Getting better the more you use it.
Real quick update, 543 are now in the portal. It's Longshore and McKnight presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination Golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Victoryland Casino 8 days of giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right. Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Already back at it here as we get close to the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Let's see if maybe we got that Dreamland Pick 3 wheel ready to go. I believe we have 2 Pick 3 contestants that swept the board. Robbie from Greenville was close, Barry, but he had Buffalo over the Rams yesterday, and that one bit him. Sorry about that. That was tough. It was a great game. I see Gern's got it loaded up, and there they are. We've got Ben and Danny, and yes, that is Danny from Margaritaville on the wheel. He is actually on a cruise, I understand. He chatted or something last week. He sent his picks in from a cruise ship. That might be the first.
I like that. I like that. That might be It might be, going down the Alabama River, but it counts as a cruise ship. I like
it. Does count as a cruise ship.
Yeah.
All right. So we got 2 finalists this week in our Dreamland Pick 3 contest. Gerd, what do you say? You give it a big spin and let's see how it falls in line. Uh-oh, here we go. And it is going to be Ben. Ben is our winner this week. Ben doing a good job. Had Army catching 5 against Tulane. Won the game outright. Had Oregon laying 3.5. Won that one comfortably. And had Clemson catching points. And they won the game outright. Ben, good for you, my man.
Yep.
Man, go to Vegas. You're hot.
There you go. We get a $100 gift card for Dreamland Barbecue in Montgomery, Dreamland downtown West Jefferson. Hey, you want to have your playoff watch party, or heck, if you want your ReliaQuest Bowl watch party to be populated, do you know how to do it?
Yeah.
Get Dreamland Barbecue.
If you call your buddies up and say, hey, man, I want you to come over to watch the ReliaQuest Bowl with me at 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve, you're probably going to get this. Can I get back to you on that? Let me just get back. If you say, man, I'm having plenty of Dreamland Barbecue, then there's, I'm in. I'll be there. Yeah. Count on me. Yeah, it's a done deal.
Yeah, you can order downtown Dreamland Montgomery, West Jefferson. That's 273 Ribs, or down on the east side at Vaughn Road, Dreamland East, over there, Vaughn and Taylor Road. That number over there is 239-8228. You can always order online, dreamlandbbq.com.
Our man Tom Luginbill joining us here this Monday, as he does each and every week. I can see he's licking his lips. He's thinking, man, I wish I had some of that Dreamland barbecue you guys are talking about. How you doing today, Lugs?
I'm good, guys. How are you doing, huh? Everybody well? It's good to see you.
It is good to see you as well. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Any level of outrage at SMU in Alabama out, Tom?
No, and there shouldn't be, because the committee did this to themselves. They walked themselves into a corner, and when they started applying the value of wins and ignoring the losses when it came to Alabama, yet did not do the same for Boise State or Indiana, they created this narrative that consistency across the board is not going to be applied to everybody. And I think also, and this is really important, had they left SMU out, they could have potentially, I think they would have fundamentally changed college football going forward forever. Because basically what you did if you did that, what you were saying is that conference championships do not matter. The goals of your football team to win a conference championship and then do what it takes to get there, and not have an opportunity to play for it all while people were sitting at home, would have left a real bad taste in the mouth of not just the fans, the coaches, because the coaches would have been in an uproar. They're going to go, wait a minute. In every one of our buildings on the wall, we have goals: win the conference, play for a bowl game, go to the national champion, go to the college football playoff, whatever it is. Now you're telling us that if we earn the right to do that, we are subject to not being involved in the big dance. And I don't think the committee wanted to go down that path, because I think once you do, you can't put the pace back in the tube. And the coaches need to know, and the value of a conference championship still needs to matter. And the coaches want it to matter, right? I mean, that's what you coach for. And, in this particular instance, I think people should be more curious about how Boise's number 3 than Alabama being out. And again, I go to the schedule too. I mean, you look at Indiana and Boise, and the committee basically said that we really like their losses, because they can't point to a win when everybody's talking about, where are your top 25 wins? Where's your strength of schedule? Where's your head-to-head where you knocked somebody off? Indiana and Boise State don't have that. I was in our coverage leading up to the ACC championship game. All of this discussion was about Alabama and SMU. And I was like, wait a minute, guys. Somebody make a case that Indiana should be in over SMU. I mean, SMU played 9 straight Power 4 teams. They played 2 Power 4 teams. One was a rival in TCU that finished 8-4, and they throttled them, right? Then they lost to BYU by 3. Kevin Jennings wasn't their quarterback yet. And then they had a G5 and an FCS. Indiana had an FCS and 2 G5s. No other Power 4s, didn't beat anybody, and lost to Ohio State. Yet the committee looked at Ohio State and Boise as that being good. So I was like, wait a minute, forget about Alabama for a second. Let's try to figure out why Indiana is so safe in all of this. But you know what, guys? The moral of the story is, in 2024, don't lose 3.
Yeah, well, no doubt. And
don't lose 3.
Off today, Tom. I mean, Alabama fans can gripe and gnash their teeth all they want to, but when you're a 19-point favorite and you get beat by 21, that's a blemish. That's a skin up knee that's not going to
and look bad doing it. And look bad doing that was I think that's the other thing that's frustrating with the committee by people watching is, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. There was not enough scrutiny and there was not enough punishment for that loss when it happened by the committee. And now, poof, all of a sudden there is. Well, where was you just got throttled by a team that isn't very good and you were a 19-point favorite. That didn't matter when it first happened. But now all of a sudden it began to matter. And I think the committee made a mistake there. They took Alabama, who loses that game, they drop them 4 spots, but Georgia loses at Ole Miss on the road to a ranked team and drops 9. How do you quantify that? So I think that's where fans have got to realize that at the end of the day, if you want to be involved, don't lose 3.
Should Arizona State have been a 3 seed?
I tell you what.
They looked good to me, Tom.
First of all, I sat there and I'm watching that thing. I'm like, oh my goodness, Arizona State's got a quarterback. And everybody's talking about Cam Scatterbo, but that quarterback is a dude. And now I can kind of see why all these pieces have really come together. And
John says that Auburn got the wrong Mississippi State, the Michigan State quarterback.
I think that they are doing exactly what you have to do, what every team would tell you they'd want to be doing right now, and that is peaking, right? And to be honest with you, if you're ASU, getting the bye probably isn't something you want. Like, you want it for health and you want it for rest. Boy, you'd love to carry over what you just did in Dallas and go right back on the field, right? It's hard to sustain that type of momentum, that intensity for 2 weeks without playing. But they're basically the Big 12 version of South Carolina right now. They're the team that nobody wants to play. Which is really I'm impressed by them. It's one of the coaching jobs of the century. I mean, it really is. I mean, if he's not the national coach of the year, like I don't know who is.
Tom Luginbill joining us as he does each and every Monday during the season. Luke's already hearing the rumblings about some change with the college football playoff, the committee. I think obviously in 2026 there's going to be some big changes with the new contract format, expansion of the playoff, things like that. But do you see any changes for next year? I'm already hearing some rumblings about, why don't you seed it like the basketball tournament? Why do you have conference champions automatically getting one of the first 4 spots? Because I think there's a lot of people out there thinking, well, maybe two of these teams might be the top 4, but I'm not sure the other 2 are.
Yeah, I think that will be the one thing that will be the most scrutinized and the one that will be the most probably put up for potential change immediately. And that is, not allowing just those automatic conference championship bids and re-ranking, reseeding, just basing it off who you think are the best teams and who's playing the best right now. And if that means that you think that a team that didn't play for their championship, is playing really, really good right now, is better than a team that did, then fine. Let's put them there, right? And I think the other thing that would help push that to come to fruition is we now have to acknowledge that when you went away from divisions, no schedules are created equal. Texas didn't make their schedule. The fact that their best win is against an 8-4 Texas A&M team in Vanderbilt, they didn't make that schedule. They just played it. SMU, the fact they didn't play Clemson and Miami, they didn't make that schedule. They just played it. So when you don't have divisions, you're going to have lopsided schedules year in and year out. You look at Auburn and Florida's schedule this year, go look at their schedule next year. It's the exact reverse. So, depending on the year, I think that also helps them make maybe more clear-minded decisions if you go away from the automatics.
The size of the conferences are so bloated now that, you're going to have a ton of schedule inequality just even within the conference right there. It's interesting to me that for so many years in the playoff era, there was always somebody in it from the SEC West, Alabama,
Sure.
Auburn, LSU, and all that. This year, out of 12 teams, there's not a single one out there, Tom. That's shocking to me.
It is. And when you consider the teams that are on that side of what used to be that division, right? So you had LSU woefully underperformed this year. They're a 4-loss team. You have the Ole Miss team that a lot of people have been talking about for the last month. You can't get over that 4-8 loss at home to Kentucky, right? And so a lot of those teams in that division did it to themselves, at the end of the day, Alabama included. Texas A&M is, I joke about this, and I don't mean it personally against A&M, but for all of the talk about A&M, I just think it's fascinating that at the end of the day, guess what? They're 8-4. Who is always 8-4? Texas A&M, right? It's just like they fell right back to where I guess everybody says they're going to be, although I think they've got a chance under this new leadership to be pretty good going forward.
Tom, I don't know if it was just a reaction, maybe a little upset that Alabama did not make the field. But your thoughts about what Nick Saban had to say, and Greg Byrne pretty much said it later in the afternoon as well. Maybe we need to reevaluate our scheduling. Maybe we don't need to be putting 1 and 2 Power 5 non-conference teams on our non-conference. And also kind of picked up on it that you want us to play non-conference games? Forget it. We're staying at 8 because obviously strength of schedule doesn't help you with the committee.
Every decision the committee makes sends a message. Right. And in this particular one, it sends a message that if you don't overschedule outside of your conference, you may, doesn't mean you guaranteed, but you may have some advantages. But I go back to SMU, they scheduled 2 Power 5 teams, 2, not 1. Right. So, and by the way, do you know who their other scheduled team was supposed to be that they replaced Nevada with? Vanderbilt.
Wow.
That was supposed to be the other. So they would have had three other Power 5 teams on their schedule and had to replace Vanderbilt with Nevada when Vanderbilt pulled out. And so, I get it. But in all of this discussion too, and I know this is about dollars, this is about finances, this is about revenue, but the further we go away from the Group of 5 FCS matchups, the more those programs die on the vine. They're relying upon those games. And you can sit there and say all you want about the SEC. Oh, they play Mercer in week 11 and this and that. Well, some people might have had a bye on that weekend. So what's worse, having a bye or actually having to field a team to go out there and risk and actually play the game? So I don't care about people. If you want to schedule that type of game late in the season and in lieu of a bye, go ahead, do it. I mean, that's fine. And then it helps those programs. But I can see all angles on this. I really can. But at the end of the day, like I said, don't lose 3 and don't lose a game you're not supposed to lose. I think that's the message here by the committee.
Yeah.
Now all of it has shaken out the way it has. What's the best first round game?
Wow, the best first round game. That's a good one.
Tennessee, Ohio State.
Tennessee, Ohio State. I am really intrigued by SMU, Penn State. Really intrigued by that matchup because Penn State has not played a team this year that even closely resembles what SMU does and what their offensive skill is like on offense. I think that offense will test Penn State on defense. I like that matchup because it's just 2 foreign entities that probably haven't seen a single play of each other all year long of watching a game of that team. And now it's like starting fresh for an opener of your season, which is basically what this is. I think that one's very, very interesting. And listen, we're going to find out whether or not Indiana is truly for real. So I think the Indiana Notre Dame game is really intriguing. I think it's really evenly matched because both teams run the football, stop the run, and by and large don't beat themselves. So those things travel in the playoff. You're going to have cold weather. It's going to have a blue collar element to it. I think that's going to be a lot of fun too.
You know, in some of the teams that we talked about earlier, Lugs, you know, if the Arizona States, the Boise States, the SMUs, the Indianas, if they go into these games and they get beat by 2-3 touchdowns, whew, man, you're going to hear a lot of chirping about that as well.
You are. I mean, what if you know, Texas beats Clemson, right? Tennessee beats Ohio State, and you know, you're just referencing right there. And now all of a sudden you find a bunch of SEC teams sitting there at the end, right? And then a lot of people are going to say, well, what are we doing? But the problem is you could also say the exact same thing about bowl season.
Yeah.
Like when teams play that one-off in a bowl, and then all of a sudden you want to make a declarative statement that this conference or this team's better than that conference because of one outing, not 12. It kind of the same logic applies here. But you're right. This is one of the most hotly debated sports in the world. And then you add a 12-team playoff, and all we did was enhance the regular season. I mean, think about it. When you look at Alabama right now, and everybody was wondering about whether the regular season would be impacted in a negative way. The regular season matters, right? The month of November matters. And Alabama is a prime example of that, as are others.
Yep.
But I think it just goes to show you that one year it might be the Big Ten chirping, right? I didn't think the Big Ten as a conference top to bottom was very good this year. I thought Arizona State did a great job, and Iowa State and Colorado did a great job. But while they were doing a great job in improving, the rest of the conference crumbled. Oklahoma State, Kansas, Utah, Arizona, they were all picked to finish near the top of the league, and they all crumbled. So how good was the Big 12 as well? So we could have this debate all day long, each and every year. It just might depend on which conference.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find out what the number is of total transfers that were in the portal in last year's cycle.
At one point, it was over 3,000.
I saw that, but that cannot be right. My gosh, 3,000. Will we approach that this year?
Potentially. I mean, listen, but understand that that's all divisions of football and walk-ons. Okay, and walk-ons. So it's not just scholarship guys.
Okay.
But I think the number is going to continue to be large. Last week I went on air on National Signing Day, and I basically said, don't fall in love with any of these kids. This isn't the signing day of old. All this is an extended version of a verbal commitment, because the likelihood that any of these kids are going to be on these rosters 12 to 15 to 18 months from now is minimal. Because the moment something doesn't go their way, or they don't like it, or they think they made the wrong decision, they're just going to walk out the door. And now the cycle starts over again. So now signing day is not about building foundational pillars. Signing day is about who you sign. And now it's about retention. You used to take guys and say, all right, we're going to have for 3 to 4 to 5 years, minimal transfers in terms of guys going out the door. If it happens, it happens. We deal with it. Now it's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And so you sign these guys, and now every single year it's how do we retain them? How do we keep them? How do you keep everybody happy? How do you play everybody? It's impossible, right? And so that's what we're juggling starting today with the portal. I do these things we call little scouts takes, and if a quarterback goes in there, Connor Wegman's a guy, Miller Moss is a guy, Daquan Menza, the quarterback at Tulane, who's really, really good, that I think is going to get a lot of attention in the transfer portal, and just, give my insights to what they bring and why they'll be attractive, things on so on and so forth. You still got to understand that with the portal, if the guy is really, really good and everybody knows he's really good, he's been tampered with. The deal's already done, right? The other guys that are going in there, they're going to know within probably 72 hours of what their market value is. Right. They'll find out pretty quickly. Yeah. But those guys that are really good, that have played, that have a sample size, they're gone. I mean, those things, that stuff has been inked.
Luke, so speaking of signing day, we've seen the rankings. We see what everybody else says. What do you say? What programs had the best year in your mind?
Well, it was interesting. I started watching it unfold throughout the day. We ended up having Oregon as our number one ranked overall class, right? And then, followed by the usual suspects. You've got Georgia in there. You've got Texas. You've got Alabama. Auburn was up there really, really high. But what I found was interesting is the common denominator amongst everybody in the top 5 to 10, 5 to 8 is every one of them have the single greatest NIL and collective resources of anybody in college football. And that ain't changing. So when you have the ability to play with a different deck of cards than everybody else is, and until we put the locks on this at the high school level in recruiting so that it no longer applies to there, you're just going to continue to see these classes all go to the same 5 to 8 schools because those guys can do things in name, image, and likeness with their collective that other programs don't have the financial resources to pull off.
See, I thought that Bryce Underwood just liked the major that they offered in Ann Arbor. They said, well, thank gosh. I thought that was a part
Can
of
you
it.
imagine the risk, guys? I mean, really think about that. Like I told somebody the other day, I said, if those numbers are anywhere near what people say they are, and they may be in totality, right? It might be one of those deals where it's in the total structure of whatever deal he signed. And maybe, it's over the span of 3 to 4 to 5 years or what have you. But can you imagine the poor pressure on that kid? Like, how is he supposed to?
Yeah.
17-year-olds aren't necessarily generally equipped for that. I mean, you talk about setting somebody up for failure. And now if you're Michigan, you're those boosters, you're the collective or what have you. What happens if, by the way, the one position with the biggest failure rate is that position? What happens if he doesn't pan out? Like what? And most guys don't. That's the thing.
Oh, exactly. That's one thing we seem to overlook.
We overlook that. We're like, look at Miller.
The numbers tell us you're going to fail. Better chance you failing than being successful.
Absolutely. I mean, Miller Moss, Connor Wegman, Jackson Arnold, all of these guys. Everybody recruited them. Everybody. They're all in the portal, right? So,
Tom, let me add.
There's no guarantee.
One of the discussion we've had around these parts. How important is it signing in-state players? Does it make a difference? Are you just looking to find the best player no matter where they live, or is it really important to sign players from your own state?
I think it's really important. I think it's important for the families. I think it's important for travel logistics. I think it's important for the kid to feel like if he needed to, he could get home quickly. I think there's a level of comfort there. And it also sends a message that you don't come into our borders and take our kids. John Cooper at Ohio State used to tell me, he would say we put a fence around Ohio and then recruit nationally. And that's kind of the mode of operation now. I mean, that would be true in Alabama. That would be true in Georgia. Tougher to do in Florida, right? Because everybody's rating that state, and you have 3 or 4 now, including UCF, Power 4 schools. So I do think that still carries weight, and it is important because those are also kids throughout the recruiting process that you can get on your campus a lot in an unofficial capacity in the span of 2 to 3 years leading up to before they're even set to graduate. That's not as easy to do with somebody that's in Iowa or Nebraska, right? And, how do you the further away they are, I always liken it to marlin fishing. It's like having a 500-pound marlin on the line, but he's 500 yards away, and you have 2 years to reel him in. That's not easy to do, right? It's not easy to do.
Final question from me, and somebody texted it in. Is it beyond the realm of possibility that Deuce Knight gets to be the starting quarterback at Auburn before fall camp breaks?
No, I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility at all. In fact, given the current state of their program and where they're at, they need every single quarterback in that room to compete to be the number one. I think that's going to be a full-blown open competition. It needs to be. They're going to have to see how far ahead, how far along he is. Because that's the one thing, and I try to guard fans against this, is you might watch highlights on the internet and you might see this, and this, and all of this hype surrounding the guy. But it's all based off of physical attributes, meaning height, weight, speed, quickness, arm strength, all of those sorts of things, right? And that's great, right? Because you want to be able to check all of those boxes. But when you make that leap from high school to college, right? Those are the variables that really don't matter. What then becomes the most important is theory of the game. How much do you know about the game? All right. How mentally mature are you? How mentally tough are you? What is your competitive temperament? How do you respond when things don't go well? What's your body language like? How do you affect your teammates? How do you impact your huddle? All of those things have nothing to do with physical talent. They're all other things that will determine whether or not you're ready to make that leap. And there's, a handful of kids each and every year that from the neck up have that. All right. The vast majority don't. Doesn't mean that they won't, just means that they haven't matured to that level yet. And so for a guy like Deuce Knight or anybody else, he's going to come in and he's going to look good. Like talent wise, you're going to be like, whoa, okay, all right, here we go. Then the live bullets start flying by. What do you do? Right. And that's what nobody really truly knows. And that's what these coaches spend so much time doing, whether it's with the individual head coach or the position coach at the school, or maybe they have a private quarterback tutor. They're asking questions about intangible traits, not physical traits.
He's the best. Tom Luginbill, college football analyst for ESPN. What you got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
So I've got the bowl there in Montgomery. I'll be in your guys' neck of the woods.
Hey,
I get
awesome.
there Friday night. So we got South Alabama and in Western Michigan. And the transfer portal right now is killing me with those two schools because Fluff Bothwell, I think, just went in.
That kid's big time.
And I'm hoping Pritchett doesn't do it. And then this defensive tackle from Western Michigan that's really good, he decided he was going to go in last night. So we'll see what these rosters look like come this weekend. And then the following weekend, myself and Wes Durham will be on site in State College doing Friday night preview shows for ACC Network for SMU Penn State, and then a lead up into the kick on Saturday for a noon kickoff there in State College, and we'll do some preview stuff prior to the kick. So busy next couple of weeks as we embark on bowl season. As
always, we do appreciate the time, Tom.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Talk to you next week. Thank you. Yes, sir. Tom Luginbill joining us each and every week. Brought to you by good friends at Riverbank and Trust. Experience banking above and beyond with Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout Central Alabama, locations throughout the state. Riverbank and Trust. Go by and see them today.
It's Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to Banking Above and Beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust.
Happy holidays from
Heads or tails, kick or receive, with the wind or against the wind. Buy your friend a Bud Light. Buy a stranger a Bud Light. Go to your team's bar. Go to the opposing team's bar. Buy around during the next truck commercial. Buy around during the next talking duck commercial. If you're truly up for whatever this weekend, grab the perfect beer for whatever happens. Crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Make two plans and let the NFL coin toss make the call. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316. Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the River region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the River region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Howdy, welcome back in. Glad you're with us here on a Monday. Yep, Chris the Bammer wanting us to get to that Victoryland 777 topic wheel. I know we're going to do that here today as well. Looking forward to that. And of course, Mark and others have asked about our bold prediction contest.
Yes.
It will be ready to go, uploaded later today at yellowhammernews.com. So we're excited about that, our association with those good folks. Check it out, yellowhammernews.com. Write up about this program each and every day. Yep, you get to read a little synopsis with some video content at yellowhammernews.com. You can also check them out on their Facebook page, X, Instagram, you name it. They're there where social media, wherever you go for it, you can find it, as well as Longshore and McKnight. We really appreciate everybody being a part of what we do.
It's so great. We do appreciate it. The response has been phenomenal, and we are humbled by how well it has all gone. Speaking of that, the question of the day may be last Friday, a little bit after 8 o'clock in the morning, which was hotter, Barry's forehead, which felt like it was about 103 degrees last Friday morning, or the Phantom's pick?
Well, I think it was complete opposites. You had a fever, hot, probably a little sweaty on the forehead.
Yeah.
We were experiencing chills, teeth chattering, chills, cold, balmy feet and hands.
Kind of like that singing birthday telegram that Ferris got.
Yeah,
that nurse who
pretty much.
Fever, chills. Okay,
clammy. Yeah, exactly. Was not a good week for us, Barry. The conference championship weekend really bit us in the butt. So take it from there. We are below 500 for the year after last week. We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But, in the years that the Phantom has been a part of this program, and there again, just giving him a little love, bowl season and the NFL playoffs have always been very, very good to the Phantom.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt. And we don't anticipate anything else. All brought to you by River Region Straw. Call Kenny at 669-5959. If you're raking out all of your old crud in your garden, all the falling leaves and everything like that, let Kenny and the staff spread some of that premium pine straw. They'll come bring it to you. No order too big or too small. They'll even spread it for you if you'd like. 669-5959. And boy, wouldn't it be nice to be able to enjoy the Reliquest Bowl. Well, that'll be at 11 o'clock in the morning. But when the weather gets cold, to have some of that premium seasoned firewood, River Region Straw's got it. Locations in Prattville, in Montgomery, and in Auburn. You can call or text Kenny at 669-5959 at River Region Straw.
So my neighbor down the street, Barry, I'm coming home, I don't know where it was last week, and I saw the River Region Straw truck in front of his house. Gentleman is there unloading that premium seasoned firewood, and my neighbor's going to be staying warm. You can too. So take advantage of the great wood that Kenny has available. 669-5959.
I'm surprised at this.
Well,
I'm surprised at this.
Chris says I got a big forehead. Let me pan out. Is that better for you, Chris? How about that?
I think pretty much everybody's forehead's the same size. I don't know. There's...
I don't know, Lurch on the Adams family. He had a big forehead.
Yeah, but you got somebody like Travis Kelce last night. He's got the low hairline.
Yeah.
Gronk, the same thing.
If I wasn't losing my hair, Chris, then my forehead probably wouldn't be as big as it looks.
I'm going to have to send Gern. I've changed up all my pictures in the back because of Christmas. Yeah. I got the picture of me and John back at Jubilee City Fest one year, years ago.
Oh boy.
When the hair was right down to here. Yeah. Anyway, I have been really surprised at how even-tempered the open forum has been at TiderInsider.com. I mean, they're not happy with not making the playoff.
Here's one thing I noticed, Barry.
It's been a lot very even from them.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yesterday, though, there was a lot of criticism about Jalen Milroe. There was a lot of this, hope he leaves, hope he transfers, doesn't need to play in the bowl game. Guy doesn't care. He's packed it up. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
Come on now.
These the same people that were criticizing me for the comments I made when I returned from Pasadena last year when I said Alabama cannot win the national championship with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. I said it multiple times, caught a lot of criticism for it, which is fine. I get it. That's the medium that we're in. But I just didn't see it. And I never saw it throughout the entire year. As we saw, it's some good games, no doubt. But the offense never expanded. When defenses figured it out, they were extremely limited. And they've not seen the improvement. So I'm not going to be as critical, and I'm not going to be maybe as upfront as some of the people on message boards are. But I do think it's time for Jalen Milroe to move on. Whether he goes to the NFL or whether he wants to transfer, I think he's done all he can do in Tuscaloosa. And in saying that, this offensive staff and Kalen DeBoer have got to come up with a way to get quarterback play improved and the offensive playbook expanded.
The offensive playbook expanded is interesting to me. I think Milroe's a smart kid. I mean, he's got his degree and everything, so he can, do what he wants to and everything. But I can't remember who I saw this from. Again, I was fuzzed out all weekend. But somebody posted this, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but this is just an approximation. In the last 2 games, Alabama wide receivers were targeted a total of 38 times.
Okay.
Oklahoma and Auburn targeted a total of 38 times. 36 of those times, those receivers were either Jeremy Bernard or Ryan Williams. Only 2 other guys in the last 2 games even had a pass thrown to them. Is that a limited offense, or did Jalen just say,
I think it's a limited offense.
I'll just find, it was limited on purpose to him. Say, look, if you get in trouble, just look for Ryan and throw it up and see what he can do.
I mean, I'm seeing an article here that at Bama online, Kalen DeBoer appreciates unselfish Alabama wide receivers amid limited production in 2024. I didn't even read the article. I'm thinking, wait a minute, he's apologizing for guys that have played 12 games. Hey, man, sorry we didn't get the ball to you anymore. I'm sure other wide receivers that maybe they're trying to recruit love reading stuff like that. And that's why you've already seen some of these wide receivers in the portal.
Caleb Odom, Kendrick Law already. Yeah.
Said it 3 weeks ago. If I'm a wide receiver at Alabama, I cannot get in the portal quick enough. And you're seeing it.
So now, as we do whenever we talk about potential coaching changes at schools, what do you do? Where do you go?
I don't know if they got the portal that they're working that pretty heavy. It's opening today. You'll hear a lot about that throughout the remainder of this week.
Do you hear a lot about Dylan Lonergan? What's the new, if it's the case, I don't know. If it's the case, what do you do now?
They better be there again. I'm sure they're prepared. They've been busy. They know what's going on out there. They certainly should. And obviously they can recruit. I mean, they've got a very highly rated recruiting class, and they did well in the transfer portal last year. But as someone else wrote this morning, I forgot where I saw it, and you knew these kind of articles were coming. The dynasty's over. Bama doesn't make the 12-team playoff. I mean, everybody thought when they expanded it to 12, they'll be in it every year. Well, they didn't make it the first year. So the dynasty's over. Things are crumbling in Tuscaloosa. People have been waiting to write articles about that. I'm not sure that's the case right now, but they better get it corrected because they can't have any more seasons where they're 3-touchdown favorites and get beat by 3 touchdowns like they did in Norman. And they can't be a big favorite against a team like Vanderbilt and get beat. And Kalen DeBoer better figure out real quick, you need to beat Tennessee more than Tennessee beats you. Fans don't like it when Tennessee's beating you. So they've got some things they've got to get corrected. And if they don't make the playoff next year, woo. And what leads you to believe after what you saw through the first 12 games that they will? I pose that to you, Bama fan. Is there anything you saw in the 12 games Alabama played this year that has you convinced here today on the 9th of December, oh, they're making the playoff next year? Do you really believe that? Do you feel that confident today that they're going to make the playoff next year? Oh, I know a lot of things. No, don't give me that, because you've gone through the last 17 seasons thinking, oh, we're going to make the playoff. And there was only 4 teams then. Now you got 12. Are you confident you're making it next year?
Questions to ponder. John Longshore, ladies and gentlemen. We'll continue on. I know we've got that Victoryland 777 topic wheel queued up and ready to go in just a moment. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You know all about the 12 days of Christmas, but what about the 12 days of Dixie? We're giving away 12 of this year's hottest holiday gifts. Just go to facebook.com/Dixie Electric Plumbing Air and comment on the daily prize post using the hashtag 12 days of Dixie, and you're automatically entered to win. The winner's name is posted on Facebook the following day with the opportunity to enter daily. The 12 days of Dixie is going on right now.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Victoryland Casino 8 Days of Giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right. Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Okay, back at it here, about 18 minutes to the top of the hour. Chris, the Bammer says we're stalling, that we need to get to the wheel. We're going to get to that in just a second. What about our man Tobias? He chimes in about Jalen Milroe.
He says Milroe reminds me of Justin Fields in the NFL. Can't process fast enough. That's why teams blitzed him so much. They knew he didn't know where to go with the ball and to make them pay.
I'm still trying to figure out how Jalen Milroe's the third highest rated quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft. This must be a terrible NFL quarterback class.
It is. I mean, it's not great. Last year was really, really good. This year, not so good, which is why Milroe needs to get in this year when his draft stock is high in comparison with the other quarterbacks. Next year, it won't be that way. And, will he improve that much next year? If he stays another year. You look at the portal right now, and Luginbill mentioned a few of them that are already in right now. Connor Wigman from Texas A&M is in. Miller Moss from USC is in. Just now, Hank Brown is in from Auburn. Holden Gariner is in. Hank Brown, or Gariner will soon be in if he's not already. Gariner, Hank Brown, Peyton Thorne has transferred. So the numbers are way down. You got Walker White, you got an incoming freshman, Deuce Knight, and who else?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it for scholarship quarterbacks at Auburn. Who among those guys are the guys you want? Devin Brown from Ohio State, who was a top guy. Castellanos
Kid from Oklahoma. He's in the portal.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold. He says he's in the portal. He's not in he's not in the portal yet, but yeah, that's a guy. Maybe Wigman, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think that Auburn can afford to get a guy just to, be a glue guy to provide, some competition and some experience. They need a guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Caden Salter from Liberty, maybe. So yeah, all of a sudden, Auburn is quarterback numbers poor.
Yeah.
Right now. So,
yeah. No kidding. Yeah. All right. Anyway. I see Gurn has got the Victorland 777 topic wheel ready to go. It is on the screen. It is kind of just in warm-up mode. Whew, man. All right, Gurn, let's spin it. Victorland 777 topic wheel. Chris the Bammer's at the edge of his seat. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, roster. That's not rooster. It's roster.
Roster.
So you better get ready to get a new lineup card because the transfer portal opened today. You're going to have opt-outs. Kalen DeBoer says he doesn't expect a lot of players to opt out. Well, that's refreshing to know. I got to see it to believe it. But it's the day and age in which we live in. And I know one of our chatters earlier today doesn't like it. But Barry, it's here. You just mentioned all these quarterbacks at Auburn's had to leave, and they're looking for some guys to fill those spots.
I understand the transfer portal. I understand NIL, but I follow Twitter, and I'm following some of these such and so at Western Michigan has said he'll enter the transfer portal. Okay, that's fine. But it says his agency, such and so says that advised by such and so. It's odd. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just odd for me to look. These guys have got representation out there. And at this time of the year, at this time of the calendar, sure, they're listening to their head coach, but they may be listening a little bit more to their agency, right?
Yeah,
Kalen DeBoer says, boy, or whomever. I don't want to focus just on Alabama.
I don't know if it was Odom or Law. I was reading about him in the portal and noticed that in the article about his agent. And I thought, wow, man. I mean, I know what was going on, but you got to get used to it. Really?
Exactly. It's not wrong. I'm not opposed to it. I just, you don't ever think about it. And their agents, I mean, their coaches saying, man, your teammates really need you. Just think how much you can improve your draft stock if you played in this game. And on the other side, and I'm not just focusing on Alabama, on the other side, the agent saying, yeah, I get what he's saying. Man, if you ball out in this game against whomever, that could really increase your draft stock, or you can blow your knee out.
Yeah.
Sure
could.
I know you anticipate that, and DeBoer is trying to, if he's all, any of them have already gotten a really good idea of who's going to be in and who's going to be out. At least they should by now. But for those players, they're like, yeah, but especially those guys who are,
and I wonder
who are first or second round projections, right?
I'll be interested to see how many opt-outs and transfers Michigan has. I mean, we're going to talk to Ralph Michaels in more detail about this Friday. He mentioned it last week about how difficult it is to handicap bowl games because you got to deal with opt-outs and transfers. You don't know who's playing. Where you had a good feel when the line came out. You went, okay, I'm in on this one. This looks good. Alabama's an 11.5-point favorite against Michigan in this crap bowl they're playing in. How do you know that? Because between now and kickoff, this roster could be completely different on both teams.
Yeah. I remember our buddy Drew DeArmond, who does a really good talk show up in the Huntsville area. I mean, in the Tuscaloosa area. Somebody asked him, "Hey, what do you think about the line against Michigan?" He said, "Well, I got to wait and find out who's going to be playing.
Sure.
You know, any of that.
You better believe it.
It's going to be a bunch of them. Ty, I thought for sure. I said that Auburn's going to lose Peyton Thorne. I didn't. I know he's not going to be in the transfer. If I misspoke, I apologize. But I know Thorne's not going to be there. I know Hank Brown's not going to be there. I know Garrener's not going to be there. And so all you got left is Walker White and the incoming freshman right now, and a couple of walk-ons. But yet, here's the only thing I don't know about. For some of the guys who are first and second round picks, I get it if they don't want to play. I don't like it, but I get it. If you're a fourth or a fifth round projection, and these guys already know about where they would be, right? If you're a fourth or a fifth round guy and you think, yeah, man, I could play in this game and I could really improve my draft projection or whatever, and I hate to quit on my teammates, but then you look at it, and do you go to the bowl sponsors? Do you go to the NIL guys and say, hey, I'm taking a little bit of an extra risk here, even more so than a redshirt freshman who's still got 2 years before he's draft eligible or whatever. I'm taking a look. What can you guys do to help me see my way past those risks? Is it a thing where the bowls or the bowl sponsors or the school's NIL or somebody pays you a little bit extra just to make sure you play in this bowl game?
That's not a bad idea. Similar to that basketball tournament Alabama played in and out in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to start paying, when Will Anderson and Bryce Young played in the Sugar Bowl against Kansas State, back then you would have thought, hey, I got to pay these guys. Whoa, excuse me.
Yeah.
Wow. But I could see that possibly being something in the future where you got to pay us if you want us to play in these bowl games. And speaking of that, and I don't think this is on the wheel, but I did want to bring it up. I didn't. Here's a problem with conference championship games. Barry, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I believe the two teams in Atlanta knew they were getting in. And I'd heard before the game on Saturday that Texas sent a lot of tickets back. They did not sell their allotment of tickets for the SEC championship game.
There were some empty seats up in the corner.
Their fans knew they were going. So did Georgia's. But Georgia, a lot easier to get to Atlanta. Empty seats at the SEC championship game. Has that ever happened before? There were a ton of empty seats at the ACC championship game.
Yes.
I didn't really notice in the Big 12 in Dallas, but I got to assume there were a lot of empty seats.
The Big 12, the entire upper deck was empty all the way around AT&T Stadium.
So what does that tell you? 3 of the biggest conference championship games, and none of them were sellouts. Well, what does that tell you?
You know what it tells you? It tells you that Barry was right. That's what it tells you.
Interesting to hear what this was about.
Because Barry kept telling you, these playoffs, an expanded playoff, will devalue the conference championship games. The main reason why Texas wanted to win it was to get that first round bye. The reason why, reason for Georgia. Other than that, it's a nice little thing. The one great thing about Georgia winning it, I had the biggest Roy Kramer moment I've had in 20 years, because I will never forget standing in the room with John in the print media room at the SEC Media Days when John was actually standing within 2, 3, 4 yards from Roy Kramer, the former SEC commissioner, and Spurrier was up there, and he was calling out Roy Kramer for this and that and everything, and Kramer's face is and John's looking over at him like, all that. That was a long time ago. That was actually before I had met John, but John was telling the story that Oh, man, that was the greatest thing ever. Calling out Roy Kramer when they had the camera shot of Kirby Smart up there on the deck complaining about having to go to all of these different places to play, and he's calling out Greg Sankey, and then the camera shows Sankey over there, and he looked like he just ate a mouthful of green flies. That was awesome.
So is it because they knew they were going that some of these, I don't think the ACC conference championship games ever been sold out. I can recall previous ACC games in Charlotte where there were a lot of empty seats. Don't know about the Big 12, but I've never seen an SEC championship game with empty seats. I thought that was kind of a disturbing trend. There again, I still don't think it devalues the regular season because you've got to position yourself to be there in the end when it's all said and done. But I still don't see why these conference championship games need to be played. I just add another week to the playoff when they expand it to 16. But I think we can do away with the conference championships.
They can add another week.
Divisions.
They can add another week to the playoff, but the SEC doesn't get to keep all that money from the playoff. They get to keep all the money from the conference championship games, which is what it's all about.
Is there not enough money in the $1 billion college football playoff? I mean, do they really need that money from the SEC championship? I don't know, but if it bites them in the butt, they might have to reevaluate that.
Yeah.
There again, I don't think they care. Obviously, the image looks bad, but they're getting the money from the TV. The tickets have already been sold, whether you show up or not. So, end of the day, when they're in the boardroom, they're going, I don't care how many people show up. Just don't let the camera show the upper deck if you're worried about that. We're making money.
Which is the other reason why I don't necessarily agree with what Greg Byrne is talking about, well, we just need to schedule, easier out of conference games. Why should we schedule these out of conference games?
Well, why should they?
Because
the fans like them? Or do you want to get into the playoff?
You want to have that extra home game so you don't have to play the home and away against Wisconsin. You want to get that extra home game for your fans, right? Oh, the fans. Forget it.
That's been my thing. It's always been about give the fans, the customers, the best value. They don't want Mercer. They don't want La Mo. So, okay, if we give you Wisconsin and Florida State, you better be ready for the consequences. Now, it's certainly, I don't know, Ohio State, Notre Dame later on could hurt you. But everybody else Alabama's got on their non-conference schedule over the next 10 years, they ought to be able to beat them. And if they don't, they got bigger problems than we think they do.
That's the old Longshore non-conference mindset. Well, we might lose those games. Don't ever give Tom that.
No.
That's a loser mentality.
You might win them too.
There you go.
I hate that defeatist attitude. We might lose those games. It drives me. All right, Spike, Gurn, spin the wheel. We go, wow, we're getting close to the top of the hour. We got to get going here. We might have some holdovers this week. All right, spin it. Let's see what we got.
All right.
And,
who cares?
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
All right, hang on. Bowl season. Okay, all right, ready.
I've not looked at all the bowl matchups. I am when we get off the air, when we get our bowl prediction contest up and loaded. I know Alabama's playing in Tampa. I was actually at that bowl game when these two teams met, and it was Gene Stallings' last game as the Alabama head coach in the old Tampa Stadium.
The Sombrero.
Yes.
This is the Relia Quest Bowl. It is on New Year's Eve. 11 o'clock in the morning.
That's 10 a.m. Central Time.
Well, it's 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern.
Oh, okay, noon Eastern.
But it is the first game.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, including a quarterfinal between in Glendale, the one in the Fiesta Bowl. So 5 games. Alabama, Michigan is the first. Anybody going to be there? Or is, as the topic of this topic wheel says, Who cares?
Who cares? I think that's what you're going to see, Barry. I think you're going to see a lot of who cares. You think Michigan fans really excited about it? I mean, they've already had their biggest win of the year. They beat Ohio State. I mean, they went to the Rose Bowl last year, won the national title. They're about 500. You're talking about empty seats? Get ready. You're going to see a lot of empty seats.
It from the Michigan perspective, but I think you're right. Okay, let's go another one.
All right, let's spin another one here because I'm going to talk about who cares a lot. We're making the bowl season great, though, with the Longshore McKnight Bowl Prediction Contest. If it wasn't for us, who would care? All right, change is coming. We talked about it earlier. The seeding. Barry, they got to change that. Do it like the basketball tournament. Don't give me some conference champion automatically getting the first round bye. Don't want to see it.
People were complaining about how in the world does Oregon, they win? I mean, they're the number one overall seed. What do they get? They get either Ohio State or Tennessee in the second round. Well, the committee didn't do that. That's just the way the seeding. The committee just seeds you, and you go by that. Some people say instead of, don't seed the conference championships up there, seed it every week. Every round, go and you say, okay, all right, here are the seedings for the next round. And here are the seedings for the semifinal round, and this and that and everything. Which, I mean, to be honest, I don't care. You gotta win against some really, really good football teams anyway. Just play the games is all I'm worried about. Yeah, but I do think there are going to be some changes. The big reason why they did that is they absolutely want to continue to have great value for the conference title games, even though, as John said before, there have been some empty seats for some of those conferences who know that both of their representatives are going to be in the college football playoff anyway.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can make it real simple for this committee. Quit worrying about matrix and numbers and data points and all that stuff. I'll be more than happy to come give you a tutorial. It's called the eye test. You know what? These are the best 4 teams. This is who we're putting in here. Live it, learn it.
Know it.
That's what we're doing. They
just
passed
like
the eye test.
Just like Brad told us many, many years ago on Fast Times at Ridgemont High when he's talking to Spicoli and his buds. So there you go. Our thanks today.
Hamilton, far out.
I mean, the committee needs to come out of a van in the school parking lot with a big old fog coming out with them as well. Feasting on pizza and learning about Cuba.
It's too good. More on that tomorrow.
Many thanks to Tom Luginbill from ESPN. Congratulations to our winner in our Dreamland Pick 3, who picks up the $500 $100 gift card from $50 gift card from Dreamland Barbecue.
That's Ben was our winner.
Good job,
Danny, who I still think's on a cruise ship. I don't think Danny's gotten back to port yet.
Bob from Pike Road is visiting with grandkids. Got to be. Tomorrow, we're going to talk it over. Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com. It's kind of a light week with finals going on. Auburn doesn't play until this week. I don't think Alabama plays at all in basketball. We'll talk.
I believe is their next game.
It's going to be a bit. It
is. I do know, Barry. It is exam week in Tuscaloosa because number 3 child has an exam this morning. As a matter of fact,
but Longshore was a student there. Somebody had to tell him, "Hey, you got exams."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So also tomorrow, Travis Ryer from Ryer on YouTube. That's going to be interesting as well. We hope you join us. Hey, friends, like and subscribe and all that jazz. John, let's do it again tomorrow.
I think we will. We'll be live 7 to 9 tomorrow morning, but you can check us out anytime. We're streaming all day. Check us out at yellowhammernews.com as well, and get ready because the bowl prediction contest will be loaded up later today, and you can start firing down and make your picks. We are helping you with the bowls, making them a little bit more interesting.
In partnership with Yellowhammer. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. Longshore and McKnight is presented by Bud Light.